Looks like the coast is clear. You know, after my last video, stately Vaughan Manor was surrounded by angry Stephen King fans. They surrounded the manor and were shouting and screaming, and through the windows they were throwing copies of It and Cujo. It could have gone very badly. I had no choice but to release my savage pack of tiny little dogs. The carnage was terrible. But now everything is fine here at stately Vaughan Manor. Welcome! Today I'll be doing my much requested bookshelf tour. People have been wondering what I had up here, and so I give the people what they want. Probably only have time to go through one shelf at a time, so I'll be doing this shelf up here right now. There's actually stuff way up there, but I probably need a ladder to do that video. So today we're just going to talk about what's here on this top shelf. And if you like that, I'll do more of them. I'll probably do more of them even if you don't like it. So let's get started. Okay, let's start over here. Now I'm going to have to move this book. Actually, I'm going to have to move this book to get these books out because of the way this stupid shelf is organized here. So the first book I have up on my shelf is this really old copy of The Spy by James Fenimore Cooper. Is it James? I better check that. I think it is. It is. Look at that. That's so cool. It is. Where are you, title page? There you are. Yes, James Fenimore Cooper. And look how cool that title page is. This book is awesome, but I've never read it. It's one of those books I've had hanging around up there that I've always intended to read. It's fantastic. It has great illustrations. It's going to be a great read, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But I will. Okay. I'm going to put you back up here in the corner if I can manage it. I really don't like these corners up here, but what do you do? Okay. Now the next book I've got up here is this Barnes & Noble fancy copy. Put that down. Barnes & Noble fancy copy of The War of the Worlds and other novels. Basically, this is just the 7 science fiction novels of H.G. Wells. It's got this cool little end paper there. And has the same science fiction novels that are in all of these books. Now, these Barnes & Noble copies are pretty cool. They are not the finest made books in the world. You kind of get what you pay for, but they look beautiful. Got to worry about these though because this kind of metallic ink that they've got pressed on here likes to rub off if you actually read them. So if you actually read these books and are handling them with your fingers, that tends to happen. So if you don't like that, I guess just keep them on your shelf and never read them. But I like to read my books. So let me put that back up there. And the next thing I've got is Roughing It. And Reader's Digest put out these really cool copies of classic works. The world's best reading is what they were. And they were just, unlike the other Reader's Digest books where they cut the books to pieces, these are unedited, unabridged copies of classic works. And they're great copies of these books, great old hardbacks. They came out with this whole series, and they're just wonderful. Yeah, cool little chapter headings there. So if you ever find these, you could find them on eBay, and they're just great books. I love them. This is a good book too, Roughing It by Mark Twain. So I'll put that back up there. Sorry, Ganesh. And hiding up here for some reason is Thomas Pynchon's V. As if to say, read me, Mike. You haven't read me yet. Why haven't you read me? Come on, read me. I'm V, read me. I haven't read it yet. I'll get around to it one of these days. I must have stuck it up there because I figured I'd get around to it one day. Here, hang out over there for right now. Okay, I'm gonna move you over there, Ganesh. Now this is a really cool old copy of Isaac Asimov. I got this in 1988. A friend of mine gave me this. I saw it in his house and said, wow, that looks really cool. And he said, here, have it. I'm not going to read it. And I said, all right. And it's really cool. Who did this? Really cool end papers there. This is a really good old. This is the Master's Library from Amaranth Press. It's got all these books in there. Got the Foundation series, The Stars Like Dust, The Naked Sun. I don't know why they didn't put The Caves of Steel in there instead, since that was the first novel in the series. Probably would have been a better idea. It does have iRobot though. So this is a great old leather-bound book, and it's held up really good since 1988. It's fantastic. I'll put you back up there. Next we've got a really beautiful edition, Barnes & Noble edition of Jules Verne's 7 novels. This is just, I mean, just look at that. It's gorgeous. Again, has all the problems that the Barnes & Noble leather-bound editions do. This ink will rub off if you hold it in your hands too long, which is lame, but the book is really good. I haven't actually read this edition. I've read all these novels individually in individual editions, but it's great to have because it's cool and it looks fantastic. Put that back up here. Sorry, Ganesha. I'll just set you over here. All right. Lovecraft. Gotta love H.P. Lovecraft. He's fantastic, and this is his complete fiction. And so if you're a completist and you want to read everything H.P. Lovecraft did from beginning to end, this is a great way to do it. It is edited by the great critic and editor S.T. Joshi, and he did great introductions to each of the stories in here. So this is a great edition. The Barnes & Noble edition is actually a really great edition of H.P. Lovecraft's fiction. So it's worth picking up. All right, I'll stick you back up there, H.P. Lovecraft. Now we've got classic horror stories. This is actually a great edition that Barnes & Noble put out. I don't know if they've still got it, but yet another Barnes & Noble classic here. Awesome end papers. And this one just has all these great, if this is like whoever did this, who edited this volume? It should say, well, there was an introduction by Stefan, oh great, it's a name I cannot pronounce, Ziamia, I can't pronounce this guy's name, but he chose some great stories in this volume. It's like all the really classic horror stories that you really should read if you're into classic horror fiction are in here. I mean, you got all the greats in this one. So this is actually a really good anthology. Great book put out by Barnes & Noble. Thanks, Barnes & Noble. That was a good one. So I don't have a Barnes & Noble edition up here of Sherlock Holmes. I've got this fantastic Knickerbocker press inside the case. Has all Sherlock Holmes in here. Put you down for a second case. Yeah, this is, I just had to get it because it's just so pretty. Yeah, it's got the nice end papers here. Print's a little tiny for us old folk. What do you do? It's got everything in here. It's complete Sherlock Holmes. Just a beautiful book. I was really happy to get it. Let me put you back because I don't have enough Sherlock Holmes, you know. All right, back you go, Sherlock Holmes. Hanging out up here, I've got randomly the best science fiction stories of H.G. Wells. This is actually a good little collection that Dover put out a long time ago. I don't know when it was. It was probably the 60s or 70s. But yeah, it's got the Invisible Man in here. It's got a bunch of cool stories. I'm not sure why this is hanging out up there. It should be in the vault of ancient science fiction down below the manor there, but that's okay. I'll put it back where it belongs. All right, what else do I got? Another Knickerbocker press, Edgar Allan Poe. Another really pretty volume. It's got everything in here. All his stories, all his poems. A really great collection. I have the Library of America version too, but all my Library of America books, and I've got quite a few of them, are in another section of the manor. So I will put these back up. Yeah, all my Penguin classics. I mean, I've got a ton of books, and I only have a few on this shelf, but I've got so many other places. All right. Of course, William Shakespeare, you got to have this you know, you got to have this if you have a library. You need this in the library. This is the complete works of William Shakespeare. Of course, I haven't read it yet. I've read many of his plays individually, but I haven't sat down, because this is the thing with me. If I read a book, I have to start at the beginning and go all the way to the end. I have to read it through. I have to. There's something in my head, it makes me do it. So if I pick this up, I have to read it from the start to the finish, and that's a lot of Shakespeare, and I haven't gotten to that position in my life yet where I want to do that. Maybe when I'm 60. We'll see. I'm going to put that back up here by Edgar Allan Poe. And now we've got Charles Dickens. And this is interesting because this is Barnes & Noble, but this is an older Barnes & Noble. Before they came out with the extra fancy Barnes & Noble classics, they came out with this line, which was a kind of a simple line. If you just look at it, it's a really simple design. Really much better binding on these older ones. The binding on here is much better. It doesn't feel like it's, this, if you like shake it, it can fall apart, some of those. But really nice edition. This has 4 novels. They've got a 5-novel version of this now, where I think they threw in, did they throw in David Copperfield? I think they did. This has Oliver Twist, has all of these guys in there. So it's got great expectations, so it's fantastic. So I really like this a lot. I like this, it's just so nice. So let me put that back up there. And now I've got a volume. This, I'm going to be doing a video on this either tomorrow or the next day. Actually, this is the Three Musketeers. And this is a fantastic edition of Three Musketeers. Who did this? Was it Franklin? Who did you? It just says 100. It's the Eastern Press. Okay, it's the Eastern Press. This is one of their 100 greatest books ever written series. They have a really nice set of those. Look at that. That's just, and this whole book is just fantastic. This is just such a wonderful, got these great illustrations. This is a wonderful edition. Just fantastic. I love my Eastern Press edition. This is one of my very favorite books too. The Three Musketeers. If you haven't read it, you've got to read this book. I'm going to do a video on this, like I said, tomorrow or the next day. Sometime real soon I'm going to do it. It's fantastic. Okay, I'll put you back up here, Three Musketeers. Now we've got Grimm's Fairy Tales. This is another one of the older Barnes & Nobles, like just like Charles Dickens over there, with the really simple design, the bevels that are really nice, and it feels great. It's these old Barnes & Nobles. And this is the complete Grimm's Fairy Tales, which if you have not read it, well worth the read if you're interested in this kind of thing. Great book, so much fun, creepy stuff going on in here too. It's great. Highly recommended. All right, and now we've got Dracula. And of course, one of my very favorite books of all time. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know that. I love this edition of Dracula because this isn't just Dracula. Another Barnes & Noble edition. Look at that. That's so pretty. This is Dracula and Other Horror Classics. Has a Jewel of 7 Stars in here. Has a Lair of the White Worm. Has this great collection of stories, Dracula's Guest and Other Stories. A fantastic collection of stories. Just great stuff in this book. Yeah, it's great. You can see the ink starting to come off a little underneath there. Starting to rub off because, of course I've read this more than once. So let's put that back. And now this is beautiful. This is just, Barnes & Noble really knocked it out of the park with this one. H.P. Lovecraft, The Complete Cthulhu. I can never say that word. I don't think you're supposed to be able to. The Complete Cthulhu Mythos Tales. Of course, I've got the complete collection over there, collected fiction, but this is just his Mythos Tales. And look at that. Look at Cthulhu there. It's just magnificent. And look at that on the back. Oh, it's glorious. It's just such a glorious Lovecraft book. And look at that. Oh man, that's just fantastic. And this has all the mythos stories. It has a couple books stories that aren't in that one actually, because they're collaborations, and that one doesn't have any collaborations. So this is such a cool thing to have. And of course, because of the edges up here, I'm gonna have to sneak these out, kind of like that. This is fantastic. This is, if I could open it up here. When did I get this? I got this for my birthday. No, second anniversary. June 9th, 2002. Yeah, The Family, Mark Twain. And this just is a great old collection of Mark Twain. Has Life on the Mississippi, has all his good ones, Connecticut Yankee, Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, just a bunch of stories in the back. It's just really old. I don't know when this came out, probably the 50s, I'm guessing. When did you come out? I can't tell from this, but I'm gonna guess it's the 50s. It looks like a 50s book to me. Family, Mark Twain. Fantastic. And now I'm gonna slip out this guy, which was hiding back there. This is kind of old, well-read, beautiful volume of Robinson Crusoe. And another great book that I haven't talked about yet, but will. I have to reread it. Yes. And this is the Franklin Library. This is Franklin right here. They made some great old books that you'll find once in a while. And fantastic. Yeah. So that was me tearing apart my top shelf for you, just so you can see what's up there. If you want another one of these, I'll do another one soon where I go across, it's going to be mostly Sherlock Holmes and a couple other cool things. So I'll do another one sometime soon, but we're almost at 18 minutes, so I think I'll let you go. But thanks for joining me once again here at Stately Vaughan Manor and checking out my old books. All right, I'll catch you sometime soon, probably tomorrow. Bye, guys.